Excellent. So thank you very much for that warm welcome, and we're very excited to speak here today among such a wonderful and broad audience. So we're here today to tell you about our belief in the need for collaboration to scale daring innovation. We'll tell you a little bit about the role of Fashion for Good in that process, and of course we'd love to discuss with you how you might be able to get involved. So if you could start the presentation, please. Thank you. So it's probably well known to most of you that sustainability is a monumental challenge facing the fashion industry today. It's projected by the Global Fashion Agenda and BCG that in the coming 15 years or so, the demand for fashion by sheer volume will increase by up to 65%, which is a huge number. And of course, if we stick to our current technologies, that growth will come at a huge cost, both in terms of sustainability, but also in terms of social issues. For example, that same team projected that in the same 15 years, the waste and the resource use generated by the fashion industry will equally grow by up to 60%. So naturally, the imperative for collaboration to attack this challenge is huge. And when we look at these different challenges across the supply chain, there are hurdles to take at every step of the way. For example, it's quite known that the use of cotton as a raw material in fashion is immediately presenting us with a challenge in terms of water use. There's over 30,000 liters of water used to make just 1 kilogram of cotton. It's also known, of course, probably for most of you, that the use of chemicals as a water pollutant in the dyeing industry is really a major challenge to tackle as well. And naturally, we also have a major blind spot when it comes to the waste of textile at the end of use phase, where up to 70% of the garments that we currently discard are landfilled, never to be recycled again. So, what are we to take from this dire picture? Should we just give up? For us at Fashion for Good, it's really a call to action for collaboration across the value chain so that all the players at each of these steps work together. So, we consider it our mission at Fashion for Good to drive systemic change through innovation and collaboration. So, we want to make fashion not just less bad, but truly a force for good when it comes to sustainability for all those impacted in every community. And we do that by bringing people together and collaborating. So, what does good fashion actually mean? We continually talk about this and it becomes a bit of a gimmick. But we've thought about this quite a lot, and it's our belief that to make fashion truly circular, just implementing more standards and working with the current best technologies is not going to cut it. We really need truly disruptive circular innovation. And that means that we need solutions that don't solve a problem in the raw material stage, only to create a new problem at the end of life stage. So we've worked together with Bill McDonough at the Cradle to Cradle Institute to kind of adapt his 5 goods philosophy for the fashion industry. So we need materials that preferably are recycled and at least are biodegradable and fully recyclable. We need dramatic reduction in water use, but even better, of course, we use circular systems that reuse water even within the plant. We need solutions that offer fair working opportunities for all those involved. So basically it sounds like we're looking for solutions that are really taking a holistic perspective. So, what actually does Fashion for Good do? You've heard us say that we are a platform for collaboration, but how does that actually help innovation? So, we are a platform that was founded in March of 2017 with a foundational grant from the CNA Foundation. So, we bring together all the parties involved that are needed to make this change reality. So that includes brands, manufacturers, retailers, of course startups, funders and other NGOs. So together with all these parties, we support innovation So we work with a lot of startups, we fund innovation, and we try to share best practices across the industry as well. So really what's at the core for us is our innovation platform, which consists of 3 programs that are each tailored towards a growth stage for a startup. So what that starts with is our acceleration program, which is all about validating products for the market. So in that accelerator program, which we run together with Plug and Play, which is a Silicon Valley-based accelerator program, we offer mentorship, exposure to customers, and exposure to investors. Of course, crucial for many early startups. In the scaling program, in which Pim and I are both active, we offer more bespoke support to startups. And those are typically startups that have passed the proof of concept stage and that are ready for growth. And then finally, our third program, which is currently in development, is what we call our Good Fashion Fund. So the final hurdle is often for manufacturers to actually put up the capital expenditure to implement the technology. And our fund will help to kind of de-risk those types of investments exactly in countries like Bangladesh. So we're really excited to speak here today for that opportunity. Now, secondly, we also consider ourselves in our role as a convener for change. So as you can see here in the middle, we have a lovely building in the center of Amsterdam where, of course, we hope to see you all very soon. And that building allows us to host a community of organizations and people that are working in the same space. So that includes many well-known NGOs, and I'll mention a few of those later, to physically actually work together and create that type of interaction. We also have a consumer-facing experience. You can think of that almost as a kind of an interactive museum where people are invited to learn about sustainable fashion and innovation. And we also share best practices in an open source way on our website in our Good Fashion Guide. So, as I mentioned, we're a platform of brands. We're constantly growing. As I mentioned, we've been around for about a year. So we currently have Adidas on board, CNA, naturally the CNA Foundation, as I mentioned, our founding partner. Galeries Lafayette, which is a French retailer. We have the Kering Group. Most of you will know many of their luxury brands, including Stella McCartney, who obviously has a highly sustainable focus. We have Zalando, the large European retailer, and we're also very excited to share that we just recently were able to welcome Target, the American retailer, to our platform. So, as I mentioned, many discussions ongoing and constantly growing. Now, naturally, there is already a lot of great work being done when it comes to sustainable fashion, and our goal is always to be complementary and additive and work together. So we're very lucky to count many organizations as our partner. Among those notably are Mistra Future Fashion, the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, ZDHC, Zero Discharge of Hazardous Chemicals, also very active in Bangladesh, of course. We have the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, who are well known for their research in this area. So it's really wonderful to be part of that community.
Thank you. So, over the past few months, our team has spent mapping the innovation landscape. And what you see behind me here is the result, or at least a high-level summary of that. Now, each vertical contains several innovation themes, and all of these themes are the same ones that we are recommending to our partners, the ones that Eva just displayed, and are recommending to explore those to really redesign their value chain in a more sustainable way. Now, within each, we have our own set of priorities that we collect from the brands. And within raw materials, our main priorities at this point in time are plant-based fibers, like, for example, hemp, that are able to produce at scale fibers in a more sustainable way. But we're also focusing on startups that are developing solutions that look into food waste and creating fibers out of that food waste to not only generate fibers, but also reduce the dependency on agricultural land. Lastly, the more disruptive, let's say, in raw materials are the ones that are bioengineering bacteria and algae to actually create fibers and to mimic fiber-producing animals like spiders and hagfish. Within dyeing and finishing, we focus on alternative inputs and also alternative ways to actually dye the fabric. So we are seeing solutions that are able to save more water, like CO2 dyeing, but we're also seeing solutions that are bioengineering microorganisms that are able to take on the pigment and actually transfer it onto the fabric. Within cut, make, and trim, we focus on solutions that are there to reduce the amount of waste, but also there to enable local production. So one of the main focus areas there, obviously, is additive manufacturing and 3D printing, because 3D printing basically reduces the amount of waste and would also allow us to create local production hubs. Now, scientists are actually getting increasingly better at 3D printing microstructures that on a macro scale actually resemble fabric. Now, when these technologies hit the market, then having a local production hub either in a retail store or maybe even in your home becomes a possibility. The second priority that we have is automation, and automation really to, let's say, improve the productivity of factories and empower the workers to do better work. And the solutions that we're seeing there are actually the ones that were also discussed today already, so the Subo, but also software automation, who is one of the first startups who has actually managed to completely automate the sewing process. They've actually already signed a contract and are already creating a local production hub in the United States, where they are also producing for the United States. Within retail and use, we see a, let's say, more demanding and more conscious consumer rising. So this means this consumer needs to be engaged in a different way, but also serviced in a different way. So the innovations we see coming up there are alternative business models where instead of buying clothing, we are leasing it, which shifts the focus from ownership to use. In addition, we are seeing mass customization solutions that are, let's say, extending the life cycle of a product and would allow us to enable local and on-demand production. Lastly, in end of use, our main focus is chemical recycling. And chemical recycling is basically the holy grail of recycling because it allows you to create fibers again out of finished garments. Now, there are several innovative solutions out there that are a little bit further away from the market, but that we're actively supporting to reduce the amount of garments that actually go into landfill. Then in the overarching innovations, and these are the ones that cover multiple verticals, we have prioritized transparency and traceability because these will help our customers actually build stories around their products, but also allow them to communicate where their products are being made and how their products are being made. Here the innovations are around product marking and identification. So we see DNA tracing be launched in the market as computational power is increasing and some of these solutions are becoming much more cost effective. In addition, we are seeing blockchain solutions that are able to trace how the volume and how transactions flow throughout the entire system from farmer all the way down to distributor. They're using some of these solutions to actually ensure fair trade and to ensure that a certain amount of value gets left at each step of the value chain. So to ensure that the farmers will get enough paid, that the manufacturers will get enough paid, and that we have a more equal distribution of wealth. And lastly, in that section, we are seeing solutions around blockchain, big data, and these are really to map the value chain. So where are your products being made, but also what certifications do these factories have, how much volume are they handling, and that really allows companies to make informed decisions about how to manage their supply chain. So that all sounds great. There's a lot happening, and which are the ones that we are now actively supporting? So as you can see here, we are supporting solutions across the entire value chain. Now, we haven't been active for that long, but we have managed to collect, let's say, an impressive collection of startups. And we've selected a few to give you a little bit of an understanding of what they do and how we are supporting them in our programs. So within raw materials, we have included AgroLoop in our accelerator program, and they've managed through us build their connection and their network in the fashion industry. And what they're doing is they're collecting food waste and turning that into fibers. Now the nice thing about this innovation is that these fibers can actually be processed using conventional cotton machinery, which means that it could easily be scaled up and implemented by, let's say, the spinning mills and the ones that are creating the yarns. In dyeing and finishing, we have Colorzen. Colorzen has developed an alternative pre-treatment to cotton fiber, which makes the actual dyeing process much more cost efficient, but also more sustainable. And they're part of the program of Eva, actually, and Eva is helping them to calculate their impact case and quantify really what it means to implement their solution and how their customers are subsequently saving water and are being more environmentally friendly. TamiCare is one of the solutions that we have in cut, make, and trim. I feel this is one that can actually revolutionize the industry because they're able to create from fiber to garment in less than 3 seconds a full garment. And the nice thing about it is that they actually use recycled fibers to create their garments. They, at this point in time, already have a machine developed, and we are supporting and helping them really define their business model, how to position themselves in the market, and at the same time attract funding to launch their machines and to position them, let's say, across the globe to hopefully start producing finished garments. The other one in cut, make, and trim is software automation. Now, I'm not going to go too much into it because I believe we have Mike Frelix later to also discuss software automation, and he knows much better what they do. But in principle, they've fully automated the sewing process, and we're really helping them conceptualize how their sewing solution could work in a factory of the future, and what it means to actually run a factory like that, and how you optimize its performance. In retail and use, we are supporting Repack, and Repack is part of our accelerator program, and what they've done is they've developed a solution that allows them to send out products to the consumers, and the consumers are then able to send the packaging material back to the person that is sending it out, so their customer, thereby reducing the footprint by about 80%. And the last one that we've selected is Worn Again. This also is a very innovative company because they've able to crack the code to chemical recycling, and they're able to turn polyester and cellulose type materials back into virgin fiber again. Now, as I said, these are a little bit further away from the market, but because they're so innovative and because they have the potential to really, let's say, change the industry, we are actively supporting them and helping them scale. So how does this relate to you and the manufacturers? So we've actually, as you've heard, already managed to engage a lot of the, let's say, market-facing side of the value chain. So we're already working together with the big brands, and they're doing a great job in helping us select innovations and ensuring we're supporting the right ones. But what we really need is technically savvy, forward-thinking strategic partners, the manufacturers, to help us really implement these solutions. And the important thing here is that we need to have technical savvy manufacturers that are able to quickly assess and validate the technologies and to assess their relevance. In addition, we need to have forward-thinking manufacturers that are able to take those validated technologies and pilot with them, because they need to have proof points that will show to the market that they can actually be successful in a factory, and that will in turn catalyze a change and ensure that we're able to help them scale up. And lastly, we need strategic partners in, let's say, permanently integrating these solutions and actually helping us jointly create these success stories and putting them out in the market. So what's in it for you? We feel that from a business development perspective, working with us is a great opportunity because you're really able to position yourself as that forward-thinking manufacturer that is able to foresee what their customers, the big brands, want and what they need also from a consumer perspective. Second is you're able to reduce your financial risk. So we're setting up a fund that is going to help the small and medium manufacturers get the capital they need to actually implement some of these solutions. And in addition, we're trying all of this in the ecosystem. So we have the support of the brands, we have the support of us, and then also the financial support to make everything succeed. Thirdly, you get exclusive access. So exclusive access does not mean exclusivity, but you're going to be the first one that is able to benefit from these solutions when you're implementing them in your factory. And I think lastly, also a very important one, you're better able to prepare yourself for the future, because these innovations are coming to the market and they're going to change the way we need to produce our products, and it's just good to be the first ones to actually be able to be a part of that. So how can you reach out? Well, obviously we're here, so you can talk to us in person. You can connect with us on all of the social media channels, or connect with us via email. Thank you very much.